Hello and welcome to For Future Generations, episode 23. It is a beautiful day. It is the Lord's Day, my dudes. Happy to have you along. Hope you're having a wonderful day. The rain has cleared up and the sun is shining, so it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. And anyway, it is going to be a fun show. I am joined, as always, by my friend Sean. Sean, hope you're doing well, but also his friend, Sean, could you introduce?
Yeah. Today we have Drew Davis. Drew Davis is the owner of Davis Roofing Solutions, named it after himself, of course. And he is the author of the book on sales, which is, if anyone ever was questioning, it's usually sitting up here on my shelf. Somebody I know did the formatting on this. It was me. Drew Davis is he is also would you say the CEO or owner of Vibe?
How would you? CEO, yeah, but partner.
Okay. Yeah. And so he is an expert in search engine optimization, and we'll be talking about that. He's also a good friend of mine for many, many years. We both were Baptist together, and then we left being Baptist around the same time. And Drew Davis, been friends a long time.
Howdy. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Yeah, so if you could give us kind of a short spiel. So in the name of the show, we've said building a business and search engine optimization. But if you could start out and tell us, what is your business? What is it you do? I see you've got your shirt on. People can't quite read it, but it says Davis Roofing Solutions. Tell us, what is Davis Roofing Solutions? How did that come about? What does that journey look like?
So we are a local roofing contractor based out of Fort Worth. We service the whole DFW Metroplex. I had another company before this one that was a partnership called NTX Roofing Solutions. And the partnership wound up, going bad. And so I left there to start a new business, being the sole owner. And so it's meant to be a legacy company that I can pass on to my kids. But, I've got extensive background in door-to-door sales, been door knocking for 13 years. And so I've had lots of time to perfect that craft. And so I can teach others, how to do that. And then we kind of just plug that into roofing and, just trucking along, man. And then as far as the SEO goes, I was paying a lot of money to various different SEO companies trying to get my roofing company to rank. And after I'd spent enough money and didn't get any results, I just sat down and I nerded out behind the computer for about a year and got really, really good at it. And so that's how the majority of our leads come in now, as opposed to door knocking. And then, somebody had requested that I'd help them out. So me and another friend of mine that has a background in web development, we decided to partner up because we were already working on another project to help me with the SEO. And then whenever I got a request to service somebody else, on their website, then we decided to, hey, just go ahead and launch Vibe and get rolling with it. So we've got a couple of clients, not a whole lot, but I'm trying to make a shift more into SEO and more away from roofing. My body's getting old and worn out. My knees aren't so good anymore. And so it'd be good to have something that's a little less punishing on my body and something that we can also do a lot of traveling with. So it's something my wife and I want to do with the kids. So that's kind of where we're trying to lean more into and just kind of have the roofing company is, still have it operating and running and everything, but just kind of be less present there.
Something I should have mentioned in in your introduction is I actually used to work for you when we were at NTX. And so that, like I was saying, me and Drew have a lot of history together. So he's taught me much about roofing. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, he's the one who did the roof above my head right now. So when I say that Davis Roofing Solutions did my roof, it's actually Drew Davis did my roof. He came over, and it was pouring rain, and we did this roof over the course of one night. And man, that was a crazy night. We were trying to do it earlier, and then it was pouring rain, and then we tore off it was like a green fiberglass that was over it, and we put the decking and the underlayment and ice and water barrier. We just did the whole thing. And so, yeah, like Drew himself did my roof, not like some crew that he contracted out. So I always thought that was pretty cool.
There's a good test of the work right there. So how good is the roof over your head, Sean? Has it ever leaked on you?
Well, interestingly enough, I did have one leak at one point, and Drew came over and and we fixed it. Yeah, he just fixed it right away, patched it up, and it was a weird. It wasn't even
some kind of shingle that was torn or something like a. I don't know.
Yeah,
if it was a road that ripped it or what. But.
It wasn't actually an issue with the deck, not the deck, the back patio. It was an issue higher up on the roof, and the previous owner, the way that he weaved it in with the fiberglass didn't work as well. So Drew came over, and he taught me everything I know about roofing. So every time I look, it's interesting too. Both of my neighbors, I did the roofs on both of them, and so like every time I look, I'm like, oh yeah, Drew taught me how to do that. So
all right. So Davis, you mentioned that it was a partnership. People have often said, the only ship that won't sail is a partnership. But how was it roofing that you got into? Was that a job that you had before?
I had originally, so like I said, I had a background in door-to-door sales, and I had started out in door-to-door selling lawn care. Mm-hmm. And so I was really good at it, and I enjoyed it. It was kind of a fun job, and I was real competitive, so I was always, shooting for the top of the leaderboard. And whenever you're selling door to door, that's a desirable person to have on your team if you're in the sales industry. And so you get all kinds of job offers from people, with other sales companies, whatever the industry may be. I happened to get an offer into solar, and so I sold solar for a while and was really good at that. And then I had come across a couple of roofers as a solar salesman, but I didn't really think much about it until I sought out this company that's they're IFC Roofing. They're based out of Colleyville. I got on with them back in 2018 or something like that, and I again got to the top of the leaderboard over there. But they were making promises that they weren't keeping. And so I just had a new baby. I thought benefits was important for like doctors and stuff like that. So I was working there with the expectation of benefits. And then after the time came, they didn't provide them. So I had to go back to selling something else. I sold HVAC for a year after that. And then whenever COVID happened, I was still selling HVAC. And we couldn't go into people's houses anymore just overnight. So a friend of mine that I worked with, and it happened to be a neighbor of mine, we were good friends. And so he was over at my house, and we were, talking, what are we going to be doing? What are we going to do for money? Because we can't, go to people's houses and sell units. And we haven't seen a stop in the bills. So, so that's whenever I mentioned to him that we should consider roofing. And so we crunched over the numbers for a little bit, briefly, and decided to pull the trigger on it. And immediately we grew a pretty large team. I left right at the 2-year mark, and we had 16 people on the team whenever I left. And I believe that we probably would have hit 12 million that year based on how many reps we had and how many reps were continuing to come on and how much they were selling. And so, that's whenever my partner, he kind of wanted to go live on vacation, and I'm sitting here carrying this company on my back. And so we had a falling out about that. and it was irreconcilable. So I packed up my chips and left.
If you saw me laughing at part of it, when you were talking about the offers you get as a door-to-door salesman, that made me laugh because I know exactly what you're talking about. A funny story. This guy one time, I'm out knocking doors, and you have to understand what we used to do is we would meet as a team before we go knock doors. And so Drew is like pumping us full of like go juice. You know, he's just like, come on guys, like you're the best, like doing affirmations and all that kind of stuff. And so everyone's all like jazzed and we're ready to go.
Psyched.
So I'm in this neighborhood, I'm knocking doors, and this guy in a truck, it was an unmarked truck, so it wasn't like a company truck. He pulls over, he said, "Hey, are you a roofer?" And I turned to him, I said, "Hell yeah, I'm a roofer." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Like, so, but yeah, he was just, it was another offer type thing. Oh, I could get you, I can get you a better percentage, or I can get you this, or hey, let's add. I had a guy that wanted to add, he wanted me to keep doing the roofing, but also sell generators at the same time. Like it was a whole thing. So like
throw it in your pitch.
Yeah, just to throw it in there. I also happen to sell Avon. Like it's like, what do you just add a whole bunch of stuff?
Have you heard of Kirby vacuums?
Yeah, I've got it all. Just trench coat of all the things. Yeah. But so Drew, you can tell me if you don't want to tell this story, but it's a great story because you weren't always a master door-to-door salesman.
No, it's not.
Do you want to tell? Do you want to tell the when you were doing the lawn care, the first door that you knocked?
The first one, yeah. So, yeah, because I just got laid off from printing T-shirts, and I saw this job offer, and I went in there, and I was like, "Hey, I want a job. You need to hire me." And so they brought me on. They gave me this pitch, and I memorized it, and I practiced it, and I felt so good. I felt like really confident. And then I went out to the doors and I started knocking. And as soon as the first door opened, I forgot everything. I forgot the pitch. I forgot who I worked for. I forgot my name, like all of it. I just like my stomach dropped. And I'm like, the guy's like, can I help you? I was like, well, you have some weeds. And he's like, hey, slow down. What do you want? It's super gracious, but I'm like, you have weeds and we can get rid of them. He's like, no thanks. Shut the door in my face. I called up my boss and I was like, hey man, I can't do this. I gotta quit. And he's like, dude, you talked to one person. Just go finish the day and then you can quit. Like you just got started. Go finish the day. So I kept on knocking. Nobody else came to the door. Thank God. And I come from this corner and there's this woman, this little old lady walking her dog. And she's like, what are you selling? I was like, lawn care. And she's like getting rid of the weeds? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she says, how much is it? I was like, I don't know. Let me call my boss. So I called him up and asked him and gave her a price. She's like, you sign me up. I was like, okay, done. So we set her up. And after that first one, then I was like, okay, well, this isn't so bad. So I quickly got comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But it was embarrassing. It was really bad.
It truly is a numbers game. Like anyone can go out with a halfway decent pitch. I mean, you can't just say like literally anything, but you go out there. There's going to be someone who wants it. Interestingly enough, I always get people. I to this day I still defend door-to-door salesmen because there's like this weird like it's a negativity that people have. Right. And roofing, like one of the biggest ways that, I mean, everyone knows like that's the door-to-door salesman. As soon as they get a hailstorm, like, oh, I got to deal with the door-to-door guys tomorrow. And the negativity shouldn't be there because I've seen it from the side of the salesman. And I had this one.
You don't like being harassed by somebody knocking on your door, but has it occurred to you that the other guy probably doesn't want to be there either? He's just trying to make some money.
Yeah.
Well, like a special kind of mindset to handle that kind of rejection because you're gonna have somebody tell you get the F off their property, slam the door in their face, screaming at you, and then you got to go smile at the next door neighbor. And it's like, it's hard to, carry that with you, but at the same time, just let it wash over you,
Yeah. So this one story, I think you remember this. It was during that week that I got 7 when I set the standard. I got a trophy. Drew made me a trophy. Yeah. So I go this lady, I knock on the door, and it's like someone like sitting in a chair, like watching, I don't know, Wheel of Fortune or whatever. And like this other guy's like, no, get out of here. We've already had a bunch of guys. But in the pitch, like what Drew had taught me was, I can see potential damage on your roof. And so I had given the pitch, and they were just, get out of here. And so I'm walking down the street, and I knock on a door, and I'm talking with this lady a little bit. And then this guy pulls up in a car. He's like, hey, you're the guy that knocked on my door. And now I'm like, what? Like, which one of you am I supposed to be paying attention to? But anyways, I just like dropped it with the lady I was knocking on. And the guy was like, hey, my sister wants to talk to you because she wants to know what damage you saw. So I ended up doing, you go up there. And what's really cool is we would show a video. Do you still do that, Drew? The video?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would show this video, and it's like, here's the damage. I'm not making this up. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just showing them a picture and saying like, I swear this is a picture of your roof. You're like, hey, here's your neighborhood. Here's your roof. I can't lie about that. I didn't just like, make a Hollywood film in the short time I was on your roof. And you can show them the damage. And I went down there, and we were like a minute into this video. And the lady, the whole time she's watching it, she's just like, oh, like she's like losing it, right? And she's like, okay, just shut it off. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll go ahead with it. But anyway, I said it's kind of a funny story, but at the same time, there's so many people that initially told me no, and then they eventually said yes because I fought, and then later they were very thankful that I didn't let them say no. Mm-hmm. So that's why to this day I have no respect for people that have a no soliciting thing on their door, because it's like, dude, just let them give their pitch, dude.
Let him give the spiel.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, you get the best deals from door-to-door salesmen. Like, no matter what the industry is, there's nobody that can work a better deal than door-to-door. Exactly. There's no cost of acquisition there to acquire that client, so you can cut significant.
And do you know why? My first experience with door-to-door sales, I was working, when I was 18 years old, I got my first real job. I was a propane sales and accessories. I was a propane guy, and I never watched King of the Hill, so that was something I had to remedy, because as soon as I showed up to my first customer, they're like, propane and propane accessories, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But during the summer, so propane is very seasonal because people use it for heat, which means they all run out in the winter. They use a lot more in the winter. They also use it for cooking, which means Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's like all of the high demand is during the winter, which means summertime would come around. It gets to be about June 30th, and my boss and I are sitting in the shop twiddling our thumbs. We've already swept the shop 3 times today. We've already reorganized all of the brass fittings twice. It's like there's nothing to do. Literally nothing to do. I sat down at a table with him one day, and he paid me my hourly salary. He paid me to play 42 with him. So, one of the things that he started doing was he would hand me flyers that they had printed off, hand me pens that had our brand name on them. He said, just go knock on doors. And I had never done anything like it before. I'd done a little bit of street evangelism in college. And I was like, it's got to be a lot like that. And he was not into it. He was like, I don't knock on doors. You just go do that. I'm paying you. You figure it out. And I was like, yes, sir. So I knocked on doors. I created my own sales pitch. And I did that for 3 years, and I sold maybe 5 propane tanks and filled up maybe 3 new customers that we didn't have. So it's like not a great record, but it was hugely informative, and I got a huge respect for the guys who knock on doors, because there's almost like a mental kind of thing that you have to shift into and be like, okay, water off a duck's back. When I knock on that guy's door and he opens it and he screams at me and chases me off with a gun, I got to just go knock on the next door and be like, you know what? It's not me. It's just he was having a bad day. And it's not the easiest thing in the world.
I've knocked on a door where the mother's son had just died, and you got to deal with that. Like you got to consider, these people they didn't schedule an appointment with you, so you're interrupting their life. So they could have just had a baby, they could have just lost a baby. They could have just got married, they could have just got divorced. So you get the best and the worst, and you got to kind of navigate all of that, and then constant training. Nobody is born good at it. It's something you have to develop. So.
So explain to people, because I already know all this, but why do roofers knock doors? Like, explain why that is, because I think a lot of people just have this, I will never answer the door for a roofer. Like, explain why it's important that roofers do that.
Well, so most people, but by the time you see a leak and hey, I need to call a roofer, you've already got damage to your decking, you've got damage to your insulation, you've got damage to your drywall and your paint, possibly electronics, on top of, potential mold issues and all that kind of stuff. So, being preemptive about having somebody look at the roof is super important, because you don't see a leak for a long time, interior, unless it's just like a major, major leak. And so, having somebody get up there once a year to check it out, do a rundown on everything, make sure your pipe jacks are sealed up, your turbines are spinning like they should, and all that kind of stuff. And then, looking for, faulty shingles that could be causing a leak. Super important. But on top of that, what's motivating, because not every roofer, even though it's important to do, that annual checkup and those frequent inspections, not every roofer has a good, standing on Google or social media. And so door-to-door sales is the most direct, just raw form of sales that you can do. So, if you ever, I can go right now, if I wanted to, I can go knock this neighbor and I can go sell a roof, right? And so I don't have to wait for my website to rank. I don't have to wait for Google Ads to make the phone ring. I don't have to wait for my social media to get some hits. I can go right now with no presence online and go sell a roof, right now. So it's the fastest way to produce results. And you get your teeth kicked in or whatever, but you get better. And so you just, keep doing it over and 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 over. You get better. So.
Yeah. What's crazy is that a lot of people will, you'll have on your phone, the storm that just blew through some area. And, so you go out and you go and knock on those doors because they have damage because they just had 3-inch hail or something ridiculous like that. But then you knock on their door, they're like, "What? We had a storm? I didn't know that." It was like, "Ma'am, how did you not know that?" Everyone's cars look
destroyed.
Yeah, your front window is gone. What? How did you not know? No, but there really are people who are just oblivious to it. Why are you guys here?
Yeah.
What's going on right here? It's just it's a crazy industry to be part of. I was never part of the ownership group, but doing the door to door was just, it's a very interesting thing. You really do get to see the complete spectrum of humanity. So the other thing that you do is the search engine optimization. Tell us about that. Tell us about your company, and I guess start with I guess I'll just tell the story. Me and my wife were over for, what was it, last weekend, I think it was. Yeah, that seems right.
Mm-hmm.
And me and you were chatting in the room that you're in right now, and we were saying something about search engine optimization, and my wife was like, I don't know what you're talking about, whatever. And so you were like, okay, just Google Davis Roofing Solutions. I looked it up and it was like,
No, not Davis Roofing Solutions. Fort Worth Roofing Contractor, or Roofers in Fort Worth, or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm
if
sorry.
If you search DRS, right, you go find us. But if you search, Roofers in Hudson Oaks, who's going to rank?
Right. So we pulled it up. I think we looked up Fort Worth or something like that, and there you were. So tell us how you're able to do that, and what you do through your company to get that for other people.
Cool. Yeah. So there's a few main things that Google looks for whenever it's deciding whether or not a website is relevant to the search. And so some of those things include backlinks, like how many other websites on the internet are pointing to you and saying, hey, this anchor text points the user to this website. So this website is important for this anchor text. And
okay,
so,
you wanted me to interrupt you if you use verb. What is an anchor text?
An anchor text is if like Roofers in Fort Worth, right? It's a keyword, but a keyword that's hyperlinked to your site. So if you ever read an article and you see, this company in DFW was blah, 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 and you see company in DFW highlighted as a hyperlink, that is the anchor text.
Okay.
So Google catalogs that as a keyword to focus on. Then you've got, on the actual site, the optimization of the performance of the site. How fast is it? How are the pictures loaded up? What does the content look like? How readable is the content? Is the site structured in such a way that I can navigate any website or any page in this website by just a click or two? So what happens whenever Google drops a bot on your site? This bot will start crawling your page, and whenever it finds a hyperlink, it'll duplicate itself, and one bot will go to that site and scan it and do the same thing over and over and over. Well, as it's going through, it's checking all the readability, it's checking all the speed, it's checking all the the content, the readability, it's checking everything, right? And as it's replicating itself, it's going through your site to crawl everything and get it all indexed. And whenever I say indexed, I mean actually showing up on Google for whatever reason. It's a site that Google can discover. And so it does this all the time. And other websites, they're getting crawled as well. So if it's crawling that site, it sees a link to you, it'll go over to you and it'll crawl your site too. So the more frequently that you have a Google bot drop on your page from some other source, the more powerful it becomes. You're sharing, people couldn't call it like rank juice and stuff like that. So it's sharing authority. And so this site has X amount of traffic, a lot of intentful, keyword searches. And so now it points to you and says you're relevant. So how the site is built, but then also how your local listings are propagated to make sure that everything is, spelled correctly and exactly the same, through all these different platforms like Yelp and Angie's and Yellow Pages and all these other, local listing sites. And then Google also looks at your profile, your Google profile, your Google business profile has, you can optimize the description, you can optimize everything about it, the services, the service area, all of it. And then having frequent posts that also drop keywords is important too. So it shows that you're active. And then also getting reviews means that people are using you, people like you. And then how fast you respond to them shows, how responsive you are to reach back out to the prospects that are reaching out to you. So all of that comes into play, and you just make it all work together. And then I just recently, so there's also a thing called structured data that is a piece of JSON code that's embedded to your header on your website. And it tells Google everything about you. It tells the name, nickname, address, GPS coordinates, phone number, reviews, pictures, all of it. Services provided. So one thing you can do is you can optimize the actual structured data to hit harder for example, like your services. I don't put roof repair in my data, my structured data. I put Fort Worth roof repair. And so that's a powerful key phrase. It's going to attract volume. So having that embedded into your structured data as a service is like something that's important that most people don't really think too much about. I recently learned a lesson though too. So you got to kind of be careful about how you do your structured data, because I stalk my competitors very closely. I watch anybody that's outranking me on the powerful key phrases. I'm looking at what they're doing and I'm trying to figure out what strategies that they're employing that I'm not, and try to get better at it. And so one of my main competitors is Lon Smith. And what I found was going through their schema markup, their structured data, I found that they actually have their name listed instead of Lon Smith. It says Dallas Roofing Contractor or Roofing Company and Fort Worth Roofing Contractor. And so I thought, hey, that is
like triple
really
laundry.
smart. So,
we're first in the yellow pages.
So I tried it, right? And so Lon Smith has a couple of things that I don't have. For example, they've got some big name local TV news companies that have linked to them in past articles and in news specials, where they have like a lot of local authority. So they've got that going for them on top of all this other stuff. Well, doing that structured data in that way, lying about your name, I thought that was really clever. So I did it, and it worked really good for a second, and then it just plummeted. My ranks dropped by more than half. I went from 100 and I don't know what it was, 150 or 180 in the top 3 of the most powerful key phrases in our area. And it dropped to 80, overnight. I lost 100 of them. Boom, it was gone. And it happened right as the June 1st storm. We had a massive storm on June 1st. It blew through the Metroplex, dropping baseballs in some areas. And right whenever that happened, they came out with this update that glitched out my whole site. And so it cut my throat. Well, so I went through and I restarted some blog postings to show activity. But then I also, when I adjusted my schema markup, I changed it back to, my name, the right name. But then I put in a nickname of those key phrases. And then I also went through and I re-optimized some services and added a lot more city-specific services. And boom, I'm back up right now. So this happened at the beginning of June, that it took everything away from me. And as of right now, I will tell you where I'm at. Let's see.
So it had to do with the fact that the name that you were kind of going by was not your business name. So what do you think was the cause of that? People click through and then they see a new page with a new name on it, and they're like, oh, well, that's not who. Or what was the cause of that? Was it computer? Was it people?
So Google comes out with updates, and they come out with a lot of them every day. And every now and then they'll have a core update. This one, I don't think this was a core update. I think it was just a really strong update, but it'll update their algorithms constantly. I don't know exactly how many there are every day, but there's a lot. And then, anywhere from 4 to 7 or 8 times a year, they'll have a core update that'll be a big deal. And one of the more recent core updates, everybody lost all their reviews, but they didn't actually lose them. It just wasn't showing them on the counter. So if you look at a site, it'll say 30 reviews, but it's actually 300 reviews, right? So it was a glitch in that core update that they had to go back and fix. But that's just an example. This I believe was a core update. And I don't know what all happens during each update. They don't release all that information. It's all
right.
Private information.
You got to figure it out yourself and test it.
But you can tell whenever something happens, whenever something like that happens. So there is volatility in your rankings, but whenever it's drastic volatility, there's something going on with a Google update, and you kind of got to just figure out what is going on. So that was one of the things that I tried. Two things I did. My blog postings had gone stale, so I restarted those, and then I also changed the structured data, and I also upgraded the structured data. And so, and like it's right now, I'm back up to 147 right now, and it's still going up by 10 or so every few days. So
hard climb back to the top, though.
Yeah. It takes a little while, but it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I could have an influx of traffic that maybe we get a storm and somebody starts clicking on DRS links, and if that happens, then my rankings will go through the roof. So it's kind of like the stock market, right? It goes up and down, but so long as you're trending in the right direction, then you're solid.
I had heard a couple of interesting stories about kind of the early days of search engines and things that websites would do that were honestly pretty shisty, but they would do things to like try to trend. So this got to be over 25 years ago or something like that. But they would put like the word roofing in their code like a million times, but it wouldn't show on the website. It wouldn't be like the whole website's just roofing. But so now every time somebody Googles roofing,
they're the first thing.
The search engine is like, this is obviously the most roofing website on the internet because it says roofing a million times in the code.
More than anyone who's ever roofed.
And so like that was an early thing people would do. Another thing was that they would use videos. They would have a video that was 1 pixel big.
Yeah.
And they would use that to like somehow the way that it
well, they would embed
it would be like
the
minutes.
1 pixel video onto someone else's website. And then what would happen is because that pixel is there playing the video, anytime there's any traffic to the website whatsoever, every single person who's on that website counts as a view for your video. Right. So now you've got a video that went from being, a couple hundred views to a couple thousand views because people aren't stopping to watch your video, but they log on to your website, they read the first 2 lines of whatever it is, and then they bounce off. Well, that was a view for your video. And so YouTube had to introduce stuff that would scrape websites for 1 pixel videos to make sure that it wasn't being linked that way to boost stuff.
Right. So it's like this, it's just funny because it's this it's like this back and forth that the search engines have with website developers. Just kind of like we don't every time they do an update, they're trying to somehow undermine the people who have optimized, and then the optimizers are like, oh, well, I just learned from that, so now I'm going to pull this one and I'm going to be on top. And
cat and mouse game for sure.
Yeah. So since I know that people are going to be asking, what cigar are you smoking and what are you drinking?
This is a Tatuaje pork tenderloin. They come out with them once every couple of years, and they're delicious. If you ever have a chance to get one, you should get more than one because they sell fast and they're super good. And then I am drinking some Oak and Eden.
I'm not familiar with that one. Where is that out of?
I don't know where it's out of actually, but it's
well regarded. I've heard of it before.
It's good. It's really good.
But yeah.
I found this one not too awful long ago, and it is top notch. I've been on that one, and then there's another one, St. Cloud, that I found. I don't know if you heard of that one, but that one's also extremely good. So
it's cool. What if they Drew is like my cigar and whiskey aficionado guy. Like if I ever have questions, I'm not a cigar guy, but as far as whiskeys go, like Drew's always got a recommendation. We do. I haven't been in a long time, but we would meet with some guys at the cigar lounge in Fort Worth, and we would like sing hymns, and I mean it was a good time. I mean,
Do you guys have a lot of viewers in the DFW area?
We don't have a lot of viewers.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's funny. Not a lot of people watch live, but we get a lot of viewers like after the fact. I mean,
Well, if anybody in DFW, definitely come out to first Tuesday of every month, about 6:37. People start showing up, and it's a good time. Singing hymns, chanting psalms.
Hey, what's the location?
Smoking cigars. Paladin Cigars. Paladin Cigars.
Paladin Cigars in Fort Worth, Tuesdays.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Is it every Tuesday?
No. The first Tuesday of every month.
First Tuesday of every month. Well, if I'm in that location around that time of the year, I will definitely, or that time of the month, I'll definitely pop in.
It's a good time. I mean,
I'm
not like I said, I'm not a cigar guy, but there's also kind of like an outdoor patio type area, and it's right next to a train track, which is I think is pretty cool because like we'll just sit there and like watch a train, and I don't know.
Lots of homeless people around, so if cigars aren't your thing, you can always smoke some crack.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right.
All right. Well, let's catch up on a few comments real quick, and then we'll get into some more search engine optimization stuff. Let's see. Starting off, we have Thaddeus Johnson. He says, "Hey, where's the intro music?"
I would also like to know that. Yeah.
My fat fingers clicked the silent thing instead of the one with the little jingle. And as far as the intro music, the music that Sean has made, as a matter of fact, I can play it for you right quick. It's this one right here. Music. I just need to get myself in gear and just put it on top of a video. It's a great track, right?
I like it.
But I need to get the intro video put together. As far as the outro video, you will see it. It is coming. Yep. We'll play it for the out. And we played it for the intro, I think, once or twice, but it works better as an outro than an intro.
Z's got a comment for Drew. Says, your boss planted that old lady there to boost your confidence. Talking about the when you were selling the lawn care.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was the deep
totally could have been him.
All right, Thaddeus Johnson, the real ones watch live. Yes, Thad. Yeah, thank you for coming. The real ones. Then Z says, I'm catching up at 2x speed. I'll be with you shortly. Yeah. Well, we're not going so fast. We won't sound like chipmunks. So you'll be here in a minute.
We just slow down the way we talk.
For your listening pleasure, this is KOI.
So I'll use my own situation to kind of ask questions about search engine optimization, right? So I recently bought a domain, but I've done nothing with it, and I would like to use it to advertise my books. So what would be? I mean, obviously the first thing would be to put something on the website, but like what would be?
First thing you're going to do is do a press release. So there's a few different sources that you can go to do a large press release and drop 500 plus articles at once. So you'll go through, you'll write an article, use ChatGPT or whatever to make it fit the typical article outlines or guidelines that they have. It's typically going to be like no first person language or anything like that. And it's going to be like less salesy, more informative, And so you write up this article and drop 3 to 5 backlinks in it pointing to you, and then run a pretty big PR campaign on it. So if you were trying to sell a book or several books at a website, then I would say you'd probably want to drop at least one press release per book, and then maybe like 3 to 5 press releases on the publisher house name, and then run some links to your Amazon where they can actually buy it there. Have some links right there on the site where you can buy it. Have your Shopify set up where you can do your own drop shipping, all that kind of stuff. and then create a blog that you're going to schedule out to drop 1 to 3 blogs every single day for a year to 2 years out. Again, you're going to need to use ChatGPT a lot on that, but putting if you can tune your GPT correctly to where it's informative, it doesn't sound like a robot, it's helpful, and then have those articles post out and just have them send it out every day, at least once a day, but up to 3 times a day for a year. Those 2 things are going to help out big time. But the press release is going to be the biggest thing, and then you can always go. There are some cheat codes you can use. It may not be a good idea long term, but you can run campaigns through some Fiverr providers to get your backlinks built up. You just want to have, if you're going to do something like that, you also want to have a SEMrush account where you're monitoring your earn Ahrefs or Moz account, where you can monitor your site for negative links, because there are toxic links that can actually damage your ranking. So if you're going to be running backlink campaigns through a third party, like on Fiverr or something like that, nothing wrong with that, but you need to make sure that you're monitoring it to make sure that if they're putting toxic links on you, that you're disavowing those as quickly as you can get them on, or as quickly as you can get them off.
Can you explain what is a backlink?
A backlink, that's where another website is referencing your website. So if drewdavis.com says, hey, y'all give my boy Sean a shout, and Sean is linked to Sean.com, that's a backlink. And so if my website has a habit of dropping spammy backlinks, if it's got like a million links on one article, that's going to be super spammy, and Google's going to see that, flag it, and it's going to discredit Sean.com.
Right. Okay.
But whenever you do these backlink campaigns, you're going to have a mix. You're going to have some that are super spammy and some that are actually high quality. And that's the goal, is you're trying to capture those quality ones out of because these guys on websites like Fiverr, they are going to have some spammy links. And so you have to be ready to disavow those just as soon as they pop up. But they're also going to have some really good ones in there in the mix too. And a good backlink, if you don't know how to source them, then you can want to pay in several $100 to $1,000 pop on a good backlink. And so that's one reason why your press releases are so important, especially for something like what you're talking about with books. Like a press release that's a big deal to have pointing to you, because you're going to get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of good backlinks from reputable sources. So it's going to, depending on the third party you use to drop your press release, it's going to be using, news websites and radio websites and things like that. And so, websites with credibility, that's what you're looking for.
So is that like websites like MSN.com or like?
It can be, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And does it show up on those websites as an ad or like a legitimate article?
No.
Like how does that whole system work?
It would look like an article, like a blog. It would be so people that post so different websites will have authors and editors that post blogs, and 9 times out of 10 those blogs are not written by the author. They're written by somebody else who submitted to the author. Yeah. And so the author will take and he'll put it in there. So there's a couple of websites like featured.com is one good way of getting backlinks, where they'll have a company that'll ask a question and they'll ask for answers, and they'll ask you to, hey, write this article for me about this topic. And then they'll pick one to post on their blog or their article feed or whatever. And so like featured.com, you can use to say, hey, I'll answer this question. I'll answer this question. I'll answer this question. You can answer as many as you want, and people will post, looking for authors to write about this subject. And you can come in as a subject matter expert. You can come in as just a ghost author. You can come in as really a plethora of things and get an article posted where it's pointing back to you. And that's where you're going to get the more powerful backlinks. That's one of the resources that we use to get on like Business Insider and stuff like that. We've got some really stout links online. That's one of the, like I said, that's one of the reasons why we're ranking so high in Fort Worth and other cities around Fort Worth.
So explain to me what a press release looks like.
You essentially, so there's going to be an outlet that you use. I can't think of this newest one that I started using. They're better, but there's another one called Brand Push. So I did use Brand Push for a minute, but there's a better one. I'll have to look into my files and see what the company is. But these companies like Brand Push will have, and there are a dime a dozen. There's tons of them, but they have agreements with these different media outlets that are, local news stations or whatever. And they'll say, hey, we're gonna give you content to post on your site on a regular basis, as long as you agree to publish what we submit to you. And they'll make this agreement, and then they will sell this campaign to you where you pay, $500, $1,000, $1,500, depending on how big of a campaign you want and what areas you want, and where you submit the article. It's going to meet all the guidelines of the most stringent outlets. And so if it meets there, it's going to meet all of them. So it's going to have the most strict guidelines to follow. You follow those guidelines, you submit the article. As long as it's got like 2-3 backlinks in it, then you're getting thousands of backlinks on this one pop that, costs you, $500, $1,000, something like that. And what would cost you, $20, $30, $40, $50,000, you're getting for, a few $100.
So what is the significance of backlinks? Is it merely the click through, people reading the article and clicking on it, or is it actually doing something in the meta, as the algorithm is looking around and it sees, hey, news article, backlinks, does that rank you higher? How does that whole,
so
what is the significance of that?
The clicks absolutely help, but they're not the only thing, because Google is dropping bots. Remember, so every time it drops a bot, it's going to self-replicate on each link. So you're going to get a crawl regardless of if you get any clicks on it. It's still going to give you a crawl. And those crawls are important. The clicks are better. So yeah, if you get clicks, it's even better. But if you don't, you're still going to get the authority and the rank juice from that site.
Interesting.
So
and it looks at things like traffic and things like that too. It's gonna be grading those websites as well, and it's gonna say, hey, this website, we're gonna give this an authority score of 75. Let's just say there's a few different ranking systems, but let's just say for a generic principle, 75 out of 100. That's what we're gonna rank this one, and then Google says, okay, well, because it's 75 and it's ranking, or it's referencing DRS, 3 times in this article for these anchor texts, we're going to go ahead and share some of that authority with DRS and say, DRS, okay, you have a high authority on this particular subject matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You had mentioned that the dropping 500 articles on the first day.
Yeah.
So explain that, because, from how you explained it, it sounded like you want me to just ask ChatGPT to write me 500 articles.
Or is it
no.
500 times in 500
It's the same article.
locations?
It's the same article 500 times. So it's the same article, but it's getting published by 500 plus different publishers.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. So now each one of these publishers is providing you 2 or 3 back each. And you multiply that out by 500, 1,000, however many outlets use this article. You only write the article once. You write it, you edit it, you make it look good, and you publish it. And then the company like Brand Push, I wouldn't use Brand Push, by the way, like Brand Push, will send it out to their publishers and say, here's your article. And they all post it. And so you get this really huge surge of media outlets referencing your content, your page, and so Google is gonna put up a flag for Google, like, hey, this is important. I need to look at this.
And is this something that you purchase, the 500 drops of the article?
Yeah, and you can do it. And So there's like I said, there's a bunch of different. I can get you a link to the company that I use now. There's a bunch of them, but the things you're going to be looking for are the outlets that they're submitting to, the ones that they're naming. Are they naming any big names like Business Insider, for example, MSN, Yahoo News? If they're referencing these bigger outlets, then it's probably going to be reputable. Apart from that, they're going to send it out to all these local, like smaller media outlets, like your local news station, and it could be, some, Cowdungville, Nebraska, but it's still going to be a news outlet that's referencing your site, and so it's going to give you a backlink. And so, yeah, you run through. There's different sizes of campaigns. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 plus on up. Into the thousands. But there's a couple of outlets. Like I said, I can get you a link later that will give you. That'll give you the links. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
I know he lost his trace. I was telling him about the internet slowing down. I know that your shed right there that you built is pretty far away from the house, so I think that might have something to do.
Yeah,
with,
so I did go check my internet speed earlier, and it didn't look good. So I didn't hit the reset on my wireless router. I just turned on a hotspot. So. Sorry.
But speaking of your shack that you got there, it's really cool to be inside of that because it's like you've got it like drywalled, and you've got the lighting going well, and you've got like the built-in AC unit on there. I mean, it's a pretty cool little hideaway there.
It's pretty dope. I like it.
Yeah,
definitely the vibe.
Yeah, that's right. Vibe SEO right there. So, we were talking a bit about. Let me see if I can add your face in here. Let me do this live. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, everybody.
You can get rid of me if you have to.
Boom. There we go. And so you were talking about links and what they do. Here we have the description of this video that you folks are watching right now. And, right here, if you're in the DFW area, contact Davis at davisroofingsolutions.com. And that is not hyperlinked for some reason. YouTube probably doesn't trust it.
If you could, so here's what I would ask of you. So, number one, yes, obviously hyperlink the URL. But if you could put, if you're in the DFW area and are looking for a DFW roofing contractor, and then hyperlink DFW roofing contractor to DRS.com, that would be dope.
Okay. Well, here, we can do that as we speak. Give you folks a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here. But, you say if you're in the DFW area, and what was the thing that you wanted to put in there?
And are looking for a Fort Worth roofing contractor. Fort Worth roofing contractor.
Fort Worth.
There you go. Gotta have the now. What is
or roofer in Fort Worth? Roofer in Fort Worth, that actually sound more natural. Go with that. Go with roofer in Fort Worth. That sounds more natural. And that's also a really powerful key phrase.
And they're looking for a roofer
in Fort Worth.
In Fort Worth.
And then double click roofer and drag it over to Worth. So double click roofer, drag it over to Worth.
This one here.
Highlight those words. Yeah, so double click roofer and then drag over to Worth to highlight those words.
Oh, I get you.
Highlight roofer in Fort Worth.
Right here to right here.
Lose the comma.
There we go.
Okay. Now hit Control K.
Okay.
Control K.
That was Control K. But
is there not an option to link that?
Because of the YouTube system, I don't know if that. That just
doesn't allow you to
down
the link. Okay,
but let me put the Let me put that there. That'll maybe, wrong place. There's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, folks. But
put a HTTPS before it.
There we go. Colon, stroke. And now YouTube is going to recognize this as a link. And then, here, let me, sorry, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist here. You can't tell because of how bad the quality of the stuff is that I build. But so now we've got that. We'll save those changes. And then we will go back to where we were on this page here. Look at that, and boom. Now we've got davisroofingsolutions.com,
there you go.
Facebook with the link. And those words, if you're in the DFW area and are looking for a roofer in Fort Worth. And so this phrase here, it's going to get scraped by bots. They're going to read this. How do you foresee this affecting your search results? Do you think
this will affect it in that I'm getting a backlink, but the roofer in Fort Worth, that little section right there is key, because if you do some keyword research and you look at the volume, so keyword looking at volume, that means how many times per day or month are people searching for this key phrase. And the more powerful the backlink, the more volume it's going to have. So if you have roofer in Fort Worth, for example, is a very, very powerful key phrase. It has a lot of volume. And so if that was hyperlinked to me, that would give me an extra boost for that specific keyword. Which, by the way, do you mind if I ask if you just Google roofer in Fort Worth?
Sure, we can do that.
Let me see what it shows up on your site.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll show this, and I'll just do roofer in.
It's not showing up.
Oh, do y'all not see? I see. I'm up in the top here. Let me do this. Y'all can see my y'all can see my search
question about Iran.
Yeah. Roofer in
roofers plural.
Oh, roofers plural.
Yeah, it's gonna have higher volume.
Roofers in Fort Worth. And let's see what we got. We got SWAT Roofing.
Those are sponsored. So if you look right above them, it says sponsored. So scroll down.
Right, sponsored. So what you're doing here is not a sponsored product because you're not playing Google.
Right.
You're trying to get
sponsored.
A more legitimate.
There I am right there.
There he is. There you go.
Lon Smith, Davis Roofing, Miller Storm Roofing, and
keep going down a little bit. So I'm the map packs. That's the most powerful spot to be. But go back to all. And then scroll down. No, go up.
Oh. You want me to go back to the page I was on here?
All search results. And then scroll down so we get Reddit. Keep going.
Reddit, Tarrant Roofing. Everybody's heard of Tarrant Roofing. Joe Hall, Better Business Bureau. Should we click through and see what they say? Armor Roofing, Texas, Allison Roofing, General Contracting, Highway Kings, Lon Smith, and there you go. Davis Roofing right there.
Yep.
Gaff. Best roofers in Fort Worth. I thought Gaff was a shingle.
It is.
They are.
So, do they have their own?
They have a Master Elite program. Well, they have a certification that they refer roofers out to.
Okay. Yeah, so there you go. Davis Roofing Solutions, instant online estimates. Yeah, here we go. Any pictures of Sean here? Sean, are those your
No, we've been working together back at the old company.
Well, that's Cody on the far left. he had been with me for a little while.
All right, what is he writing on there? It's L-10H.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the little circle of the damage? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's just identifying damage.
Yeah.
The L. So the L. Right there. So what he's doing right here is he is circling damage from hail. So where you see where there's actually a circle there, that is an impact from the hail, and then the L is just showing it's the left slope.
Oh, okay.
And then
gotcha.
the
That's
10
for paperwork reasons.
Yeah, he's writing 10 plus because that's what insurance is looking for. They're looking for 10 plus per slope. That might have changed recently, or I guess depending on which.
Some carriers have.
And
they've upped it to 14. Some of them.
Yeah, and so he's essentially doing the insurance guy's job for him to just say like, "Hey, guy,
Right.
I already know you should be buying this roof. Don't play with me." Like,
look. See that right there? I did your homework for you.
I've been on a roof, and it was in a fairly new development. Now you have to understand, in Texas, a developer is, especially if it's who's the big one out here that's just
Lennar is the big one. We see a lot of Lennar, a lot of
D.R. Horton.
D.R. Horton, all them, all those guys. They're gonna put a 3-tab shingle on the roof.
That should be illegal, dude.
Yeah. And so, but
like three tab is the only thing you use 3-tab for is peaks.
I wouldn't even put that on my doghouse, dude. They've got so whenever we install a roofing system, so they make actual hip and ridge that's going to be meant to bend over sharp angles. So ridge cap's not meant to bend. You can use it for a ridge cap, but it's not made for that. And so hip and ridge is made to bend. And so whenever we install a roof, so we're certified Emerald Pro contractors with Malarkey roofing products. Whenever we install a roof, we do Malarkey starter, Malarkey shingles, and Malarkey ridge. And then we hit each shingle with 6 nails. And so that gives an extended, an ability to get an extended lifetime warranty on that on that whole system. We also do metal pipe jacks, metal ventilation. We upgrade the ventilation if needed. We do synthetic underlayment. We replace a couple sheets of decking for free. And we do a minimum of class 3 impact resistant shingles. We don't install anything less than class 3. And so it only goes to class 4. That's how they go. So class 3 or class 4, that's what you're going to get. If you had a 3-tab, we go back with a class 3. If you had an architectural, we're going to go back with a class 4. And so you get a certificate from us to give to your insurance carrier to get a discount on your premium moving forward. And then you're also going to get a lifetime warranty on the material, lifetime warranty on the labor, with an extended lifetime warranty that we pay for out of our own pocket for the material. And so basically, whenever you do a roof with us, you do not have to worry. That thing is going to be too legit to quit.
Mm-hmm. And what's great about what Drew was saying is, like, when you get hit by hail, you're not just getting your roof replaced, you're getting it upgraded every single time that you do it. And so when people be like, well, I don't know if I need a new roof, well, it's like, well, you're getting it upgraded at your insurance's cost. They're the ones paying it. You just pay your deductible. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm hoping that I get a hailstorm before too long, because
I'm sure you will.
Well, because I want Drew to come out and do the whole roof, because we've only done the this add-on right here. Yeah. But I want the whole roof done.
You remember a while back, there was a video going around on Twitter, some guy videoing some Mexicans up on a roof, and they were just tearing it off real quick, throwing it back on real fast. And he said something disparaging about white people. I don't remember exactly what it was, but something along the lines of, white people don't work this hard. And, for anybody who's been in the business, we know that's not true. I mean, I've seen white guys, I've seen black guys, I've seen Mexican guys all up on a roof. And other than, for some reason, statistically, the black guys I know seeming to be more afraid of heights, they all work just as hard. But in this video the guy shared, the Mexican workers were not putting the nails into the tar line. They were putting it above the tar line. And people in the comments were saying, if it's not in the tar line, it's not done properly, and insurance is going to have a fit. For those of us who maybe do our own roofs or have done a few roofs and see some people doing that, what is the significance of the tar line? Are the nails supposed to be in that line, or can they be anywhere above the line?
So I'm gonna there's the nail line is what you're going for.
Mhm.
The tar line is at the bottom of the shingle, and so you're not going to be putting nails right there. You're going to put them on the nail line, which the tar line does lay over that. But yeah, if you don't put the nails on the nail line, if you high nail them is what it's called. Whenever you miss the shingle below that shingle, then
Right.
that shingle. So you're supposed to have 2 courses of nails on every shingle. One of them
Right.
is the first course for that shingle, and the second one is for the shingle above it and that shingle. And
Gotcha.
so if you miss that nail line, if you high nail it, then you get some strong wind blowing through. Which,
It'll just
granted,
take it off.
well, it can, yeah, but
Mhm.
it also depends on your manufacturer too, because I'm not saying that we can high nail them. I'm not saying that, but if we did high nail it, it probably would actually be okay, because the tar on Malarkey shingles does not let go. It is a very, very strong bond, and I mean whenever I do a repair on Malarkey shingles, if we do have like a tree limb or something that falls on a section of the roof, we've got to tear back some shingles. Going through and breaking that seal is hard. You're going to damage some shingles.
Yeah.
You're just going to.
Mhm.
So you have to be ready with some roof cement and things like that to reseal. But which you should be using anyway. But yeah, breaking the seal on Malarkey is something else. Owens Corning also has some really, really good bonding properties with their sealant. But Owens Corning is trash for hot weather, especially. They're rigid shingles, and then the granules don't hold on very well. So we don't use that.
Yeah, if you've ever walked on one of those Pink Panther roofs about a year after it was put on, it's like a slip and slide.
Yeah, and even on the day of install, if you install Owens Corning, you're gonna have footprints in it, like just hands down. If it's anywhere above 60 degrees, you're gonna have footprints in it. Just because it's just not a good shingle. That's why they sell it at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever.
Yeah, but the architectural kind of cuts that they put into the nicer shingles kind of help to hide that a little bit, but it's still there.
They do, yeah. You can't really see it from the ground or anything, but if you know what you're doing, you're looking around up there, you'll find it.
So there's one other thing that I ask any of my brothers who are in the trades. Are you a Milwaukee or a DeWalt guy?
I know the answer to this one.
I would be a Milwaukee guy if I had the money, but I'm a DeWalt guy.
Yeah. Really?
That's right.
You find the Milwaukees to be more expensive.
Yeah. For the whole setup, yeah.
Well,
but they're gonna last. They're gonna last longer. But
yeah,
DeWalt does good.
So my boss many years ago when I was in propane, he was a DeWalt guy to the end of the earth, and so I worked with his DeWalt grinders and his drills and stuff. When we were fabricating in the shop on summer days when there wasn't anything else to do propane wise. And I've got nothing but appreciation for DeWalt. But I also used to work for my brother-in-law, who is a stick carpenter. He does framing, and he does a lot of renovations, remodels, things like that as well. But when I was working with him, we were mostly doing stick frame housing. And he was a Milwaukee guy, and I just loved, for me, the Milwaukees seem like they're lighter weight than the DeWalts. And when you've already got the bags and everything swinging from you and you're 2 stories up, it's like that little bit of weight saving. I mean, it might have just been mental, but for me, I was like, I'll take the Milwaukee.
Have you seen the video of Milwaukee versus DeWalt?
I've seen a lot of Milwaukee versus DeWalt videos.
Jamie, pull that up.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, we don't have a Jamie.
Yeah, I am the Jamie. But
if you look at DeWalt versus Milwaukee on every occasion just destroys DeWalt.
I've seen some that go both ways, but
okay.
Let's see.
I will say this: I've got a John boat that I stripped down and I did new aluminum lining on the whole thing, and so I used a lot of rivets to build this boat. And Milwaukee makes a rivet gun that makes that job extremely easy, and DeWalt does not.
So we got this one here where what they're doing is they're just driving in lag bolts. Typically, what I've seen with these ones is, Milwaukee will drive the lags in just a little bit faster, but it actually depends on which one, which model of, which driver, which drill you're going for. There was one of these where a guy strapped them together. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's the one. That's it right there.
Yeah, it's like, and he puts them into like a death struggle. See which one breaks first. And I've seen one where
what is it?
Man, he's got these ones going slow speed.
He should have put a cage around the handles to keep them straight and see which one burns out faster.
Yeah, which one burns out.
That would have been a more impressive
I think it wasn't Project Farm. Who was it? Was it oh look, here we go. This guy looks like he's being a little more serious. He's got a solid chuck in there. I'm gonna put the batteries on. Come on, do it. I guarantee you it's a short, so it's not going to be the whole thing.
Whoa!
Here we go. Yeah, that's more like it. It's that is an ankle breaker right there. And what broke? The door. Yeah, came right off. Yeah, but the place it broke is actually repairable, I believe, unless it pulled the screws out of the plastic.
The money you're going to spend on it, you might as well just buy a new one.
Yeah, you might as well.
Time and energy.
If you,
That's so ridiculous.
You can't do it with some JB Weld,
It's so funny.
maybe, yeah.
I get DeWalt and I get it at the pawn shop. I don't even get the brand new ones because I have yet to break a power tool. I've broken some. I had some. What kind of? It was a wrench, but it was like I think it was a crescent wrench. No, I forget what it's called. It's the ones with the, not a crescent wrench. I call it that because of the shape of it, but it's the ones with like the opening. Like, so it's like a.
Are you talking like channel locks or?
I'd have to pull it up, like what it was,
wrench, a monkey
but
wrench?
It was like a.
I'd be impressed if you broke a monkey wrench.
No,
no kidding.
No, it's like a regular, like a fixed size wrench, so it's not like an adjustable or nothing.
No, you're talking like
yeah, but it has
an end wrench.
Yeah, but on the end where you have it closed, it's like just almost closed. I forget what those are called, but
love that sound.
Yeah. But anyways,
I hope whoever invented that is stinking rich by now.
They're helpful for cars. Is why they make them that way. And so the idea is that little bit you can get it through like a line of some kind and then get on the bolt. So I needed it because I was replacing the master brake cylinder on an El Camino I used to have. And
well, that's what those wrenches are for.
You used to have an El Camino?
Brake line wrenches.
Yeah, I had a 69 El Camino. I don't know if I knew you when I had it.
No,
I had to sell it.
That'd be dope.
Well, I had to sell it because it was I didn't have the money to work on it or the time, and it was just sitting there, and I felt bad, and I was like, you know what? Some guy drove all the way from Texarkana to come and pick it up, and it was a kid, and I felt good selling it to him because he seemed like he was just like an 18-year-old car guy that wanted an El Camino. So I was like, all right, I feel good about it. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I did.
Yeah, El Camino is one of those cars that it's like if I woke up a millionaire tomorrow, I'd have a running El Camino in my driveway, and I'd have enough. I'd have to have enough money that I could let my wife, buy whatever she wanted because she hates the look of an El Camino, which I do not understand. But try explaining cars to a woman,
Yeah.
I recently started acquiring like a bunch of lawn tools, and so I use Cobalt for lawn tools. Highly recommend. I got electric everything for Cobalt, for the mower, the trimmer, the weed eater, the leaf blower, all of it. It's super dope. They have held up very good.
everything I have is hand me down. So like recently, this old guy in the neighborhood got an electric mower. Like what you said, like somebody gifted it to him, and he's like, "Hey, I've got this John Deere lawnmower that I'm getting rid of. Does anyone want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it." Like I don't have, because I literally just had one of the like cylinder like push mowers with no engine.
No motor.
Like that's what I've been. Yeah, like that's what I've been mowing my lawn with for 6 years. And I was like, yeah, I'll finally get a gas powered mower for free. That's cool. So that's how I get that. That largely decides what kind of equipment I have at my house.
When you say a John Deere, was it like a push mower? A John
Yeah.
Deere push mower?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made those. Man.
Yeah,
I didn't either. I thought you were talking about a riding mower.
No, it's not like a tractor or nothing, like
Okay.
or a riding mower. It's not like that. It's just a regular push mower.
I guarantee you it's the same Briggs and Stratton on that thing as it is on every other push mower in the store.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Hey, it's a bulletproof little 1-cylinder engine. They've been using it for a decade because you just can't kill them. Or if you do kill them, you can bring them right back. Let's see. Did we have any more questions about search engine optimization? What are some businesses that you do roofing, and Sean's talked about for his authorship? What are some businesses that you think aren't taking advantage of this that could really benefit from this? If there's guys in our audience who are watching this, is it just literally everybody, or are there particular things that you think, like, if you're in this line of work, definitely get on it?
Anything that you want to be known for. So literally whatever that is, whether it be a business or a persona or whatever, doesn't matter the industry, doesn't matter anything, as long as you want to be known for it. Because like I said a while ago, so door-to-door has been my go-to strategy for acquiring new business for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
But SEO provides me enough leads where I don't really knock doors. And my guys, they knock doors, passively. It's not anywhere close to the level that, I used to knock at NTX, or that I knocked at any business
or I had
that,
to,
or that you had to. Yeah. I mean, we get leads inbound all the time from our SEO. I don't pay Google for ads. I do have local service ads turned on, but for whatever reason, that does nothing. It doesn't produce anything. So I'm not paying for it because it doesn't produce anything, but I'm on it. But I don't pay for Google ads. I don't pay for social media ads. I don't pay for, my marketing cost is near zero. If I pay for anything, it's just because I want to make a point about something. Like the other day, there's this roofer in my area. He's a competitor of mine. And he was telling homeowners that it's a bad idea to go with Class 4 shingles. And his excuse for it was that, insurance is only going to pay for one slope and blah, 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 blah. It was so stupid. Whenever I heard this, I had to make a response video, and I boosted that one. So like, that's the kind of things that I pay for now. Like if I'm trying to get a message out about something, then I'll boost a post just so I can get in front of more people. But as far as like generating leads, I don't pay for generating leads. I just leads just generate because of my SEO. So
when
if you want to generate leads,
video,
SEO.
You boosted that video. Are you talking about on Facebook? Is that how?
Yeah. Social media. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a friend who's in roofing. It's not in Texas, but he paid for Facebook ads because he was like, hey, I need to get into the digital sphere. I'm working for a boomer. He doesn't know how computers work. And he's like, well, I'm the young tech guy. I got to figure something out on the tech side. So he paid for Facebook ads, and he got like 2 people who he sold 2 roofs. And it's like, well,
2 people to line
than nothing, but
yeah.
But he was like, but those Facebook ads were really expensive, and he got 2 hits out of it. And he's like, well, I don't know if it really made up for itself. So it sounds like what he needs to do is don't pay for Facebook ads, but figure out how to do the SEO game. Maybe have somebody take you under their wing.
And he needs to have me do his SEO is what he needs.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, that if you get 2 roofs out of a social media campaign, I mean, my average profit margin on a roof is anywhere from 8 to 20,000 on average. It's going to be somewhere in that ballpark. Sometimes it's higher. Sometimes it's maybe a little lower if it's like a repair. But I mean, it's usually a 5-digit profit margin. And if he didn't make enough money to cover the ad from two roofs, then I would say something is amiss. I mean, I don't know if he needs to look at new suppliers or what.
Well, also it has to do with the relationship with the business and the fact that their profit margin isn't as deep as it should be, because he spent something in the neighborhood of 4 digits on the ad, and then he made about 4 digits from each of the roofs. So it's like he was not making a huge killing on these roofs, but what he was saying is, it's just like the cost of these ads is so high that he was like, why am I doing this? I can do better going door to door, which he was.
100%. Yeah. And I would say if you're spending 100, or if you're spending 4 figures on marketing or on a Facebook ad, you should absolutely be receiving more than 2 replacements out of 4 digits. I mean, if I was going to do a marketing campaign on social media, I would expect my cost of acquisition to land somewhere between the neighborhood of 300 to 700 tops. I would, if it was over 700, I would be upset.
Really? Okay.
And something would be wrong. Yeah. But so I would say to, there, just like SEO has a lot of fluff, people pushing it. Cause like I said, I got into SEO because I spent so much money on other companies not producing results. And just like that is with SEO, there is also that with social media. There's people out there claiming to be the ad guru, and what do they have to show for it? And so that's why I have the clients that I have, is because people can search for a roofer in Fort Worth and see Davis Roofing Solutions, and it speaks for itself. I don't sit there and put myself out there to be the guru of SEO. Period. I don't put myself out to be the guru. I'm always learning, but I also don't put myself out to be the guru of SEO and not have something to show for it. And so I would say if anybody is gonna hire an SEO or a social media ad campaign manager, either one of those categories, you need to check your references, and you need to check their own results. Like, what have they actually done to prove themselves as an expert that you should actually give them money? Because what I did mistakenly was, whenever I looked for an SEO company, I looked for an SEO company on Google, and I almost certainly, I can't recall exactly, but I almost certainly clicked the sponsored ad. What SEO works, why am I going to search for the sponsored? If I'm looking for sponsorship ad, like if I'm looking for sponsored campaigns, then I need to talk to an ad campaign manager, not an SEO expert. The two are 2 separate things. There's SEO and SEM. SEM is your ad management. SEO is your website management. And they're 2 separate things. And a lot of times people promote themselves to be this SEO guru, but yet they're paying ads to get their results. Whenever, like, if you're good at what you do, then why are you paying for ads? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
that was like, I had a buddy in the Army who was like, he's like, yeah, I'd like to be a personal trainer when I get out. But I don't know if I'd be able to get any business. We're like, dude, you are the advertisement. Like, people
Exactly.
in the gym look at you and say, what's that
That's
guy
what I
doing?
want to look like.
Tell me what that guy's doing, and I will do it, because they want to reach that. And so, like, when you first told me about the SEO thing, I'm like, I don't know, Drew. Like, I think you're blowing smoke. And but then you're like, dude, just Google it. And I did on my own phone. So it wasn't like there was like a history of me looking for your company. and it was right there. And you know, the only one beating you is a company that's, you know, they've existed since like the 70s, and
Right.
I mean, it's,
yeah.
I don't want to like get too deep into that, but like they've gone through multiple owners, so it's basically like the brand
Ship
name.
of feces.
Yeah, the brand name has existed many decades.
Yeah.
But then if you go to dissect it, if you look at your top 3 companies that show up, you also have an option to check out their reviews. And so that's another thing that like I've been very, very concerned with from the get-go with Davis Roofing Solutions is that we get lots of good reviews. And so that's why we do our free upgrades. We do free minor repairs. We do free maintenance. We provide more value than what you're going to pay us, because I believe. So, have you guys ever heard of the law of attraction, or not the law of attraction, law of compensation?
I haven't.
So the law of compensation is that if you bring the value, money will come. And I am a firm believer. So most people think that, I'll bring the value whenever you pay me. And my philosophy is that I bring you value regardless. It doesn't matter if I bring you value, whoever, money is going to follow that no matter what, because I'm doing the right thing. And if I'm doing the right thing, God's going to bless that. And I don't care if I lose this deal or if I win this deal. It doesn't matter. It's all going to even out because I'm bringing the value. I'm going to make sure that I am the absolute best option to choose whenever you choose a roofing contractor or an SEO expert. I am the best option to choose. And I don't have to lie. I don't have to deceive you in any kind of way. I can just do my thing, provide you value, and you'll do business with me. Or you won't, somebody else will. It doesn't matter where the money comes from, the money will come. So anyway, I kind of got off on a tangent there.
It's interesting. It's interesting hearing, because we had a guy on before who, he makes his money through real estate and like collecting rent basically is how he makes money. But on the service industry side, as a Christian, it's interesting to hear it from that side as well, because at that point, now you're talking about going out and, I mean, it's essentially like if you don't hunt, you don't eat. Whereas, being a landlord is essentially passive income. I mean, I know you sometimes have to do plumbing or remodeling or whatever, but you're more or less just kind of sitting back and letting people live in your house, and then you collect the money. So it's interesting to hear like the philosophy, the differences in it. And I'm glad that people are able to hear that on this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a similarity there too, where it's like, if you provide value, one of the things that Ethan Holden, who was previously on the show, one of the things he talked about is, if one of his tenants calls him with a problem, he's there. He just, boom, I go. And he said, we want to be there for them. He said, I want to be the first person that they call. And that's creating value. And he said, if you're the best landlord around, people want you as a landlord. It's that same idea that you were talking about, where it's like you provide the value and the money will come. You don't focus on the money per se, and it will come of its own. There was a saying that my dad used to say when I was young. He was like, mind the little things and the big things will mind themselves.
Well, like, and something that Drew taught me when I was doing roofing was, you go out to a storm damage area, and the first thing that you do when you do the inspection, you do whatever minor repairs have to be done, and you just do them. You don't ask for money or anything like that. And I once we went out and did a storm. It was in it was in Irving. I know you remember that Irving one we went to. I did really well. That was a crazy day. We went to lunch at this burger place, and I got on that dude's roof that day. Like, that's what kind of day it was. Like, it was a ridiculous day. So, I knocked on this one lady's door, and I was just talking about like, I'm going to do this inspection. I'll show you this video. I'll do whatever minor repairs and all that. And she's like, well, why would you do that? I said, well, in the hopes that you'll do business with me. And she's like, wow, okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense then. But, you know, she was like, you're going to do all this for me and for free? Like, what's the catch? Well,
Yeah.
I hope that you see the value in that. That's really all it is. And she was like, oh, yeah. And then, you know, we ended up going through with it.
There you go.
If you don't hear the phrase "what's the catch" frequently, then in my opinion, you're not offering enough value, because people need to be stupid to not go with you. You know what I mean? Like, you need to provide that kind of value. So on my website, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see Colossians 3:23-24 quote at the bottom, and it says, "Whatever you do, do your work heartily as for the Lord, rather than for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance. It is the Lord Christ whom you serve." And if you're not like operating your business on that level, then you're not operating a business, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The other thing I wanted to bring up was I'm jealous of your guys that you just give them leads like that. Like, that's got to be real nice, because man, when I was doing it, it was like you had to knock.
I know.
At least, well, like the numbers thing was like really interesting. Like, it stuck with me. So we would have to go. You know, we had our numbers, like how many doors we knocked, and then how many deals we got. And it was like, okay, well, then you have to knock that amount of doors every single day. And it would usually float around, you know, between like 30 and 40, which might not sound like a lot, but man, when when you're out there and you have these conversations with people, like sometimes knocking one door can take, you know, multiple hours depending on what the situation is.
Absolutely.
So it's just, yeah, I'm jealous. You guys have it easy. Tell them I said that they're soft.
I know. I need to have you come in and visit for a Monday morning meeting.
And then them breaking my record will have an asterisk if it includes leads.
I'll get with you later. You need to come to our Monday morning meeting and bring your trophy with you.
Trophy, yeah. So the way that started, I love that. I love talking about that story because I had in high school, I had a teacher, and we would do affirmations to start the class. And so it was always, I know I see Jeff rolling his eyes, but Drew taught me how to love affirmations. It does work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do affirmation. For people that don't know, an affirmation is like,
it works when it's men doing it.
I can see that, yeah. But affirmations.
I've never felt psyched up from a woman doing affirmations.
Yeah. Well, affirmations you do for yourself. So affirmations. The one that my teacher would say that really stuck with me is, "I am the standard for which excellence is reached." And so when Drew was like, "We're gonna do affirmations," like, and I was like, "Okay, I've got one. I am the standard for which excellence is reached." And he was like, "Bro, where did you get that? Like, what is it?" I was like, "Oh, like, I didn't just make it up. My high school teacher used to say that all the time."
Yeah.
And
that's one of my core values now.
What? To be the standard,
by which excellence.
Be the standard of excellence. That is our third. That is our third core value. Be the standard of excellence.
So,
yeah. I got
so
that
the
from
affirmation.
You.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing. I got it from Mr. Landis. So,
yeah. Well,
I would say that was like my things going all the time, and then I ended up breaking Drew's own record of deals in a week.
Yeah.
I got 7 in 1 week, and which was crazy because it was like 4 of them were in one day.
Whoa!
It was one of them was the story I was talking about, where it was like the lady crying in her hands and stuff. It was just a crazy day. It was a crazy week, and so like from then on, I was like, well, now I actually have set the standard. And so like on the trophy, it says like that I set a new standard of excellence, but he calls me, there's been a couple guys that tie it. So he calls me up. He's like, "Somebody tied your record, bro." And I'm like, okay, well that means
tie the record. You have,
but that means that they're excellent. The standard. I've
Yeah,
still
that's right.
I've still set the standard. They've
have
just
met the
become
standard.
excellent. They've become excellent. They're not the standard.
You got to exceed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew looks like he might have frozen.
He might have
bit.
frozen. Yeah.
Oh, he's there.
Am I frozen?
No,
You were-
you're good.
Sorry,
You were
that's
a
just my
second.
face.
Yeah, all right. He's just like,
Yeah. I remember. So, I talked about before.
No, I was looking at the
knocking on
comments. I
doors.
was looking at.
Yeah, we'll pick up comments here in a second. I remember I was knocking on doors trying to sell propane, and I'd been doing it for one whole summer. And it was getting toward the end of summer; things were starting to pick up. But I had sold the propane in the morning, and I was like, okay, I'm going to fill out the afternoon. And showed up at this house, and this lady was moving in, like moving truck, new vehicles, and this was a house I drove by nearly every day. And it was always empty, and now it had people in it. I was like, okay, well, I'll go knock on that door. And so I knocked on the door, and I gave her my song and dance routine. I really sold hard, just like I had done to, the 100 houses I had done before. And like, I wasn't even done talking, and she just went, okay. And I kind of stopped, and I was like, what do you mean, okay? Like, what does okay mean? She's like, yeah, I'll take a tank. I need a propane tank. We have a house here. It doesn't have a propane tank. We don't have propane. Yeah, go get a propane tank and put it in my yard. And I was kind of like, not sure what to do. Like, do I call my boss and have him go grab the crane truck? Do I go leave her here and go do it myself? So I was like, this had never happened before. It's like, I don't know what to do. I haven't ever gotten this far.
yeah, you're the dog that caught the car.
Yeah, it's like, what do I do with it now?
How did the delivery go? How'd the delivery go?
So, yeah, what I did is I was doing it out of my bulk storage, truck, because if somebody's like, yeah, I want 100 gallons, I can pump it right there. But if she wanted a tank, I had to go back to the shop, and this was on the other side of the same town, country town, so it's spread out, but it's like other side of the same town where we had operations at the time. So I drove the truck back to the shop, dropped off my truck, loaded up a used tank on the crane truck, drove out there, leveled out a pad for it, put it down, ran a copper tube, dug a trench, and filled out the rest of the day just installing a propane tank, pressure testing the house, drove back to the shop, traded back into the bulk storage or the bulk sales truck, drove the truck out there, put 100 gallons in the tank. She wrote me a check, and I took it back and handed it to the boss's wife. And it was fantastic. It was great. It was like, I made a sale. It was like, I don't have, I have no one else that I have to, refer to as, well, so-and-so helped me with this. It was like from start to finish, every bit of this was, I started by knocking on the door. I delivered the tank. I ran the line. I tested the house. I installed, I delivered the gas. I lit her stove and her water heater. It was a fantastic day. It was like, I did every single bit of
that's
this.
such a good feeling.
It was a bit like graduating. It's like, I'm a real propane man now. So it was pretty cool.
especially when you have a team of guys to go back to and celebrate with. That's the best.
Yeah. Well, I did not. I had just me and my boss, but it was good enough.
But it is something else.
Hey,
like
celebration, still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to get to
let's just dive
here?
into comments here. Z says, so you could submit a book review to a book you've read, and the article would link back to you and increase your ranking. So he's talking about those article links. A book review, not for your own book, but he's saying, you write a book review for someone else's book, but then you have a link to yourself and your books. How would that work out? I think what he's saying is that you mention your own books in passing or something like that. You can submit
a book review to a book you've read. So you, if you could hyperlink in the review, then it may not increase your ranking. It would show more authority in your ranking or in your site. But I don't think that you can hyperlink in a review. I don't think any review platform allows you to hyperlink. So
or if
that
you're on
scenario,
Amazon, it'll sometimes let you link to other Amazon products, but it's like it's all internal.
that would help. Yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
If you were able to link something from one to another.
Yep, it froze again.
Because whenever all right, so one of the, I'm sorry, are you with me?
We are now.
Hello?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
Yep, we got you.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. So whenever you link, let's say I link to Jeffrey.com, all right? My website will also be linking to you. But if my website has higher authority than Jeffrey.com, receive the greater benefit. But we both receive a benefit from being linked to each other, because you have to think the internet is a web, and so it's all interconnected. If my site links to this site, and that site links to this site, and this site, and this site links to this and this and that, we're all connected. And that's what matters, is how firm those connections are made. I'm just one person, but this guy over here at abc.com and this guy over here at xyz.com both link it to you along with me. That's sharing authority. And so you have to think of it like a web. It's all interlinked together, and you want to make it as easy as possible for a Google bot to self-replicate and find itself easily. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the corollary would be,
Okay.
if it's easy for somebody who's on his computer, if it's easy for him to navigate around and find your stuff, then it'll also be easy for that robot who's scraping stuff to find you as well. So
The exact opposite, but yes.
oh really?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. So if it's easy for Google to do it, then it's easy for you to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting the cart before the horse, but I'm not wrong. I'm just a little backwards.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Lol, I don't know what you're talking about, man. No context given, but I'm sure one of us said something funny. Z again says Grind Hard Plumbing Company. Grind Hard Plumbing Company, one of my favorite YouTubers, uses Harbor Freight Hercules tools. Yeah, Grind Hard, fantastic. Go watch that guy build some crazy stuff. I don't know why it's called Grind Hard Plumbing Company, because I've never seen him do any plumbing. But he uses Harbor Freight tools, and I've never seen him like absolutely melt down a grinder or anything like that. And it's not like he's easy on his tools, so they seem to be good enough. Yeah. Any comments on that?
I'll tell you, I used Harbor Freight one time. I used Harbor Freight one time for a painting project. So I flipped a couple of houses back in the day, and we bought our painter from Harbor Freight, and we went
a
through
spray painter, spray painting machine.
Yeah, a hydraulic sprayer. Went through two on one flip. And I hard pass on Harbor Freight.
Yeah, that's enough to burn it.
Unless it's something stationary that does not require like mechanics, like a socket. I would use a socket from Harbor Freight, but I wouldn't use a mechanical tool from Harbor Freight.
Yeah. Z says, I love the contrast between everyone else using name brands. So talking about maybe how some of was this when we were doing the search results or?
No, this is about DeWalt and Milwaukee and all that.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
He was saying, dude, yeah, I'm trying to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, he was saying almost close like a brake line wrench. I have heard it called that before. That is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's what they are for. You were using it on a brake line, and it was a blank brake line wrench. Yeah.
So I broke one of those because it's not a completed circle. So I twisted it and it went like it opened up too much. So you're also not supposed to put that much unga dunga on a brake line wrench because those ferrule fittings are made out of soft brass. You're supposed to just kind of unga just a little bit and don't quite unga dunga. Well, it was
if I could speak scientifically here.
It was a car. It was a car made in 1969, and I believe that master brake cylinder was original to the car.
And you broke it trying to get it off.
Yeah, I mean, I eventually did the job, but that wrench broke.
Got opened up. Did it shatter, or was it just it bent? Spread?
It bent. Yeah, it just spread too big.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Sean. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to let you do it.
says DeWalt also makes a branded Briggs & Stratton push mower. Yeah. If that's
everybody does.
DeWalt also has a electric lawn mower that I would like to have if I had enough money.
Does it run off of the same battery system?
Yeah, and that's why I like it, is because I can just use my regular batteries that I have and just put that in there.
Just put two of the big ones right there next to each other. That's what Makita did with that giant chainsaw they had. They had an electric chainsaw that was a real chainsaw before a lot of the other battery-powered people caught up. And what they did is they took their two largest drill batteries and they put them in there next to each other. And thing was the size of a gas-powered chainsaw. Probably weighed even more than a gas-powered chainsaw.
That's ridiculous.
And but it was a monster.
Z talking about something close to my heart here. Here's the affirmation in the Army: it's easy to soar like an eagle when you're flying with turkeys. Is it though? Is it easy?
My dad used to say that all the time.
But what's funny about that is that I would say
fly.
It's the exact opposite of this, because like Drew's talked about this before in in whatever meetings we had about like your five closest friends, and then you rank them and
Mm-hmm.
Can we do a little breakdown on this, Sean, for just a quick second?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so if anybody watching this would like to increase in any area of their life, this is something you can do to look at your friends and make a decision about who you need to associate with. Because you take your 5 closest friends and you grade them on a scale of 1 to 5. And it's going to be in 5 different categories. So you're going to grade on spirituality. You're going to grade on family. You're going to grade on social life. You're going to grade on financial. You're going to grade on attitude. So you've got these 5 aspects of life that you're going to grade on. And you grade each of these people in your life 1 through 5 on each category. All right. Now, at the end, you're going to add up the total of each category. Am I making sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your category total, or your totals at the end, you're going to have anywhere from 15 to 25 on average, right? If anybody is a sub 15, you should discard that person immediately. That person is draining your life. A 15 through 20, you should look at their weakest category, whether it be financial, home, spiritual, whatever, and pour into them in that aspect and try and improve them, but be ready to supplant them with somebody else. So if somebody else comes along in your life that is a better friend to have, then they can be interchanged. And then your 20 pluses are going to be your keepers. You always want to have 20 plus people in your life because they're winning. They're winning at all aspects. And you're going to have, so have you guys ever heard of the law of 80-20 rule?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you used to talk about that
principle.
all the time.
Of the work,
yeah. So Pareto's principle.
80% of the work, yeah.
Exactly. So you're going to have one friend that is a drag, and you should be ready to cast that person to the wind and move on with your life. Unless that person is like your family member, they don't need to be a part of your life. Apart from that, your your 15 through 20s, those people will have one aspect of their life that is substantially lower graded than the other four. And so in that person's life, you have the opportunity to pour into them in that aspect of the life to improve them and make them a better association to be tied to. And your 20 through 25s, like your 20 pluses, you can be comfortable with. You just fellowship with them. But your 15 through 20s, those are going to be where the majority of people fall in, and you're going to want to look at their weakest category. There's going to be one aspect of their life in those 5 categories that is lower than the others. And you can pour into them in that aspect of their life to improve them and make them a more beneficial friend, because you are a result of your friends, and you will attract the people that are most like-minded, and you're also going to conform yourself into kind of their way of thinking as a conglomerate. So you want to surround yourself with people that are better than you, and you want to look at your own self and grade your own self on the same scale. Grade your own self and see where your own deficiencies lie, and look at your strongest counterpart and ask them for advice on this kind of stuff. Like, communicate with them and ask them to pour into your life in that specific category of life that you're failing at, that you're substantially lower than the other categories. You want the best people around you, because you're going to feed off of each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's the old concept of you are what you eat, only kind of expanded a little bit. You become like your friends. Bad 100%. Company corrupts good morals. The inverse is also true. Good company shapes good morals. So, try to hang around with good people. The way my dad always put it is, he said, you will become like the people you hang out with. So don't hang out with bad people if you don't want to be a bad person. And I'm a very loyal person. I have a very hard time cutting ties with anybody. But there have been times in my life where there were people that just would not shape up. And after giving them as much help as I could, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to block your phone number, but I'm not calling you back either. And it was hard. Yeah. It was very hard. But right now I can say I am one of the richest men I know, not because of money. God knows I'm not a rich man. But I have the best friends in the world. I'm surrounded by people who, if I were to grade them on that scale, I'm thinking every single one of them is going to be a 20 plus. They're killing it. And it's not that I was coming into this looking for people who were, fitting a certain set of, trying to score them on a score sheet, but it was just the people that God has put in my life that I have pursued friendships with have been very high quality people. And I'm very grateful for that.
That's
it's not
fantastic.
Something everybody can say.
Well, and I'll say this, that if you're ranking high on a spiritual column, your spiritual column, if that's high, then all the others are going to be fairly high. There's not many truly godly people that have bad families, that have bad finances, that have a bad attitude. Your spirituality is the number one grading factor of anybody. And so that leads everything. And so if you have high quality spiritual people in your circle, you're going to necessarily have higher than average gradings on the other 4 categories. And you can also, by the way, you can also grade this in different genres if you so please. Like if you were looking for I don't know, like a skill that you were trying to acquire that, is specific, you can grade, people on that skill and gravitate towards, it's a skill that can be altered is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you're
the
wanting to learn
aspect
guitar,
of it is
you can
I put
find
that
people-
on the core because that is core to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you're trying to learn guitar or you want to improve your guitar playing, the way you do that is by picking with people who are better than you. And, you want to find somebody who, shreds really well, somebody who's got really, really articulate hammering, whatever it is that you want to improve, start hanging out with that guy, start watching the way he does it and start playing with him. And it's osmosis, Michael Foster in his book, It's Good to Be a Man, on my shelf right here, highly recommend. He talks about, masculinity is 10% taught and 90% caught. And I think that's an important thing for men to realize is that the majority of the time, the things that you are going to be learning, the things that you're going to be, the things that are going to shape you as a person, 90% of it, you're not going to get from reading a book. You're going to get it when you're hanging out at the hangout after work, or when you're on the job site and the boss is just, shooting the breeze with you. Those are the times when you're learning much more than when you're at home crunching numbers, reading books, and trying to get things figured out that way. So, all right, back to the comments. Z says that was in reference to your comment about something I think you called feature, the LOL.
He had sent that when we were talking about this comment.
Okay. Oh, you could submit a book review to a book you've read, and the article would link back to you and increase your ranking. So, talking about featured articles, I think maybe might be a little bit of confusion there.
I'm sorry.
So a featured.
So where are we at?
So the comment on the bottom of the page, he says, so you could submit a book review to a book you've read, and the article would link back to you and increase your ranking. And he's talking about.
I thought we already covered that.
Yeah, we did, but then he said that was in reference to your comment about something I think you called feature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So featured.com, featured.com is a resource you can use to answer questions. No, you're not going to have people asking for reviews on there. You're going to have people asking for an article to be written about a certain subject matter. And based on your industry, you could be a certain subject matter expert on XYZ topic. And so you'll see topics posted asking for, an article to be written. And you write an article as a ghostwriter, basically. It's not a ghostwriter technically because you're still giving credit for it. So you write this article on the topic, and then it provides you with a backlink. Is essentially what that is.
Yeah. So that is your compensation, is the backlink.
And just FYI, on Audible, so I'm looking forward to listening to that one.
You just broke up there. We missed that entire part. You said, just for your information, something on Audible.
Sorry, I just got It's Good to Be a Man on Audible. So I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. It's a fantastic book. I think very, very helpful. All right, and last comment we have.
Can you guys pardon me for just 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Not even 2 minutes, just 1.5.
No, I got you.
1.5 seconds. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead.
We can go ahead and do Z's comment here. Have a similar attitude about being around people who can raise your own standards, but someone has to accept a friend below him if you're going to have a friend above you. And that was something that was the first thing I said to Drew when he first told me that idea. I was like, well, somebody has to be low man on the totem pole.
So who's going to be my friend?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do I ever get into that to begin with?
If all my friends are ranking, 21 plus.
Yeah,
and
but what he's saying,
friends with me.
Yeah, Drew's not saying like get rid of the worst guy. He's just saying like don't hold
have
on to
him be
someone.
don't have him be your influence.
Yeah,
he can be your friend, but he needs to be a non-shaping friend.
Your worst guy,
like him.
Your worst guy should still be in that 20+ category thing. Let's see, what do we have here? I was thinking literary author might be a subject matter category where a writer could get into writing pieces for featured. I mean, man, dude, I could do a whole episode on that kind of stuff. William Faulkner, who is my personal literary hero, he wrote for Hollywood just to, make some money. And, but he was like, that's just making money, was what he was saying. And so there are people that they just write articles. That's what they do. I don't particularly like that, but like I said, like there's guys that will write things just to get money. I'm trying to think what would be the equivalent in another profession of what that's like. But at that point, they're not doing what they love or what they feel inspired by. They're just doing something to make a buck. And,
well, I mean, the equivalent for that for me is I drive a truck for money. I also love driving.
Yeah.
But the things that I love driving are not necessarily dump trucks full of gravel. I would love to be driving a Camaro or, dare I say it, an El Camino.
There you go.
I would love to be driving fast cars. I'd love to be driving, off-road vehicles. But, I get to do a little bit of what I love by driving a truck every day. But the main reason I'm doing it is because it pays the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's see. I don't see any kind of comments or anything in the stream. If anybody has any comments for Drew Davis, go ahead and drop them in the comments real quick. Drew, other than your website, is there other places where people can follow you? I did put in the description, give a follow on Facebook if you're in the DFW area. Contact him. Website, Facebook, in the description right now. But any other final thoughts from you, man?
Man, I appreciate you guys having me on. If anybody does want to reach out to me, they can reach me through 817-857-ROOF. It's our DRS phone number, or 8665-SEO.
Okay.
8665-SEO is where you can reach me for SEO services. You can also just reach out to me. I'm easy to find. If you search Drew Davis Roofer, you'll find me 100%. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a message, shoot me whatever. I'm happy to help, and I try to make myself as easy to find as possible. But
kind of the opposite some of our internet friends do.
Yeah.
No, I try to be very visible because my family depends on me doing business, and so
That's
whatever
fantastic.
I can do to be more visible, I'm there. So I certainly am the best choice to make for roofing and SEO services if anybody needs either. And if you don't need either and you just need a couple of bits of insight, I'm also I've been through the ringer, through business ownership, through SEO, through roofing, through sales in general, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can and add value to people's lives. So whatever you got, hit me up.
Yeah,
I will say on a personal level, one of the great values you've added to my life is your wife's friendship with my wife. Because man, dude, it's funny when I was in college and for learning pastoral theology, they would just talk about single people they really feel left out and in church gatherings because all the married people want to be together. And now that I'm in that situation, I realize it's because of kids. Like two moms are gonna understand each other, and they're not going to be weird about like, oh, I have to do something for my kid real quick.
Right. Yeah.
It's been really nice that, well, and then they're both stay-at-home moms. They're not, they're not talking about, the office life or whatever. They're actually talking about like motherhood type things and helping each other out. And so that's been one of the great pieces of value that you've added to my life, is just your family as a whole, communicating with my family as a whole, and all that.
Well, that is certainly reciprocated from my family. We appreciate you guys so much, and I can't say enough positive things about my wife, man. My wife is amazing. God has blessed me beyond all measure, with my family. I mean, it's amazing, and the community that he's plugged us into, having you guys as our friends, other families, praise the Lord. You know what I mean?
Amen to that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of guys who, the corner of the roof looks kind of cozy some nights, but thank God I'm not one of them. All right, let's see. One more chat,
there you
and we'll
go.
close it out. Z says, "Are we still naming businesses AAA roofing so we show up first in the phone books?"
Yeah. No, you're naming businesses Fort Worth Roofer.
Yeah. I saw a sign for a Chinese food restaurant. Literally said, "Chinese food near me." That was the name of the restaurant, and it was their official sign, like a full blown, LED lights up in the
awesome.
air sign. Chinese food near me. It's like, so if you hop onto your apps, your Maps app on your phone, and you look up Chinese food near me, boom. It won't be the closest one to you. It's the closest one.
It'll be there though.
There's a restaurant here in Fort Worth. It's called Your Mom's House. I don't know if that is a good SEO name, but it's definitely memeable.
I'm pretty sure it's ranked pretty high in SEO.
Yeah. Just go into Google. How do I get to your mom's house?
I'll do the keyword research on that.
Yeah.
There was another one I saw. This one I saw in a meme, so it may or may not have been real, but it looked real. This was pre-AI days where you actually had to work for your shops. But it was called I Don't Know, You Pick.
Yeah.
So, you ask the wife, where do you want to go? She says, "I don't know, you pick." You're like, "Oh, okay, we'll try it."
We're going there, yeah.
Good.
That's the spot.
So
that's great.
All that to say, don't hate the player, hate the game. It's there are tips and tricks to getting your name out there, and there are ways to get people to find you. And if you're interested in how that works, reach out to Davis. He'll be absolutely happy to help you out with that. But for those of you who have been sticking around for long enough, we appreciate you hanging on there. Drew, thanks for coming on the show, man. It's been a fun time.
Thank you guys for having me. I loved it. It was a great time with you guys.
Absolutely. All right. Well, folks, it is about that time. We've been going for 2 hours and almost 15 minutes here. It is very close to the middle of the night, or at least it is for my 30-year-old rear end. Feels like the middle of the night to me. And we got work to do tomorrow. Tomorrow is a day that God has prepared good works for us to do in. So hope you have enjoyed this show. Thanks for sticking along as you did. And hope you have a wonderful rest of your Lord's Day and a good night. Farewell.